Ring and Nest have spent years convincing you that front door security means a $100 doorbell and then another $4 a month for as long as you own the thing. And honestly, you probably just default to whichever brand runs the most ads because that's what they're counting on. But while you're paying rent on your own security footage, there are 5 doorbell brands out there that you've probably never even heard of, and they're selling sharper cameras, smarter detection, and 0 subscription fees for less than Ring charges just for the hardware. These are 5 cheap doorbell brands everyone ignores, and every one of them is a goldmine. Starting with a name you've almost certainly never typed into a search bar, aosu. Nobody talks about it, but it quietly ships a doorbell with triple motion detection for around $65 to $120. That 5-megapixel sensor gives you roughly 40% more detail than the 2K cameras you'll find on most budget doorbells, so you can actually zoom in and tell whether the guy on your porch is a delivery driver or your neighbor borrowing your leaf blower again. The triple motion detection system combines radar, a passive infrared sensor, and AI, which means you stop getting notified every time a squirrel walks by. Every aosu doorbell ships with a home base that has 8 gigs of built-in storage for roughly 60 days of loop recording, so your footage stays in your house instead of behind someone else's paywall. The battery version lasts up to 180 days on a single charge, and it has a voice changer feature. So if you're home alone and someone sketchy rings the bell, you can answer sounding like you bench press refrigerators for fun.
This is the sound of the clown's voice.
The honest catch is that the app needs some polish, and setup takes a few more steps than Ring. But your porch doesn't care what logo is on the doorbell, and at this price, neither should you. I have to warn you though, the more smart devices you add to your home, the more entry points you're creating for anyone who wants to poke around your network. NordVPN covers your entire home, so every device is protected without you thinking about it. Up to 75% off through the link below, and it takes less time to set up than it took me to explain it. You probably know TP-Link because they made your router. What you probably don't know is that they also make a doorbell camera that might be the best value in the entire category right now. The Tapo D225 costs around $80 with a plug-in chime included. For that price, you get 2K video, a 180-degree field of view that captures your entire entryway from top to bottom, and free AI detection for people, packages, and vehicles with 0 subscription. It supports a micro SD card up to 512 gigabytes, which is more local storage than any Ring doorbell will ever offer you. And when you hardwire it to existing doorbell wiring, it unlocks 24/7 continuous recording. If you'd rather go wireless, the built-in 10,000 milliamp hour battery lasts up to 8 months between charges. And one feature that caught me off guard is the ring call function, where instead of sending you an app notification when someone presses the button, it actually calls your phone like a regular phone call, so you can answer the door without fumbling through an app. The trade-off is that the D225 is not winning any beauty contests. It's chunky, but if you can live with a doorbell that looks like it skipped leg day, the feature set at $80 is absurd. If you ask me to pick one brand on this entire list that gives you the most for the least amount of hassle, it's Reolink. And the reason is simple. Reolink is one of the only doorbell brands that includes every single smart detection feature, person, vehicle, and package, completely free with no subscription and no premium tier. You buy the doorbell and you get everything it can do on day one. The Reolink video doorbell Wi-Fi shoots at 5 megapixels, which means you can zoom in on a face or a license plate and still get a usable image. The 180-degree diagonal field of view covers your entire entryway without blind spots, and it supports both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi for a more stable connection. Footage stores locally on a micro SD card up to 256 gigs, or you can hook it up to a Reolink NVR if you want 24/7 continuous recording without worrying about card space. It runs about $80 to $100, comes with a chime in the box, and supports RTSP and ONVIF protocols. If those acronyms don't mean anything to you, just know that they let this doorbell plug into third-party security software like Blue Iris or Home Assistant, which is something Ring will never let you do because they want you locked into their ecosystem. The trade-off is that the Wi-Fi model can't ring your existing mechanical chime, so you'll need to use the included wireless chime or set up an Alexa or Google speaker as your ringer. And the app has a learning curve because there are a lot of settings. But once you've dialed it in, you're running a doorbell that does everything Ring does and more for a one-time cost that's less than a year of Ring subscription. Now, the next brand on this list is owned by a company that builds surveillance systems for airports, government buildings, and military bases. But before I get into who they are, if you enjoyed the video so far, give it a like and subscribe, because every video shows you the gadgets actually worth your money. That company is Hikvision, and EZVIZ is their consumer brand. So when you buy an EZVIZ doorbell, you're getting security hardware designed by the same people who build professional-grade surveillance systems, packaged for your front porch instead of the Pentagon. The EZVIZ EP3x Pro has dual cameras, a 2K front-facing lens for visitor identification, and a 1080p downward-facing lens specifically aimed at your packages. It comes with 32 gigabytes of built-in storage, which is enough for up to 6 months of footage without paying a cent for cloud storage. And it ships with a solar panel in the box, so the battery charges itself and you basically never touch it after installation. The newer EP8 Ultra pushes that even further with a 6-megapixel main camera and a small display built into the doorbell itself that shows caller information. At around $180 to $230, it's the priciest pick on this list, but that price includes the solar panel, the storage, and the dual cameras with 0 recurring fees. The downside is that EZVIZ's app can feel cluttered with options, and because Hikvision is a Chinese manufacturer, the data handling question is worth considering. To their credit, EZVIZ holds ISO 27001 certification for information security. But if that makes you uncomfortable, the local storage means your footage never has to leave your home network anyway. Brand number 5 is the one that nobody outside of Apple smart home forums has ever heard of. And that's a shame, because Aqara solves a problem that's been driving iPhone users crazy for years. If you use Apple HomeKit, your doorbell options have been pretty terrible. Ring barely supports it. Logitech works, but it costs $200 and is completely useless if you ever leave the Apple ecosystem. And beyond that, there's basically nothing. Aqara fills that gap for about $99. The Aqara G4 and the newer G400 support HomeKit Secure Video natively, which means your footage encrypts end-to-end and stores in your iCloud account. Apple processes the AI detection for people, animals, vehicles, and packages on a local HomePod or Apple TV, so your video data never passes through Aqara's servers at all. For privacy, that's about as good as it gets. On top of that, the G410 model has a built-in Matter smart home hub, which means it doubles as a foundation for the rest of your smart home. You're buying a doorbell that also future-proofs your smart home network, and all of it supports local storage on a micro SD card with no subscription from Aqara. The catch is obvious. If you're not in the Apple ecosystem, Aqara doorbells lose their biggest selling point. And compared to the other brands on this list, the video resolution and feature set are solid, but not class-leading. But for the iPhone crowd who's been stuck choosing between overpriced options and bad HomeKit support, Aqara is the answer that's been hiding in plain sight. 5 brands, all under $230, and 4 out of 5 with 0 monthly fees. Every single one of them outshooting Ring on at least one major feature, while keeping your footage local and your wallet intact. If you're building out your home security setup and want to know which cameras pair best with these doorbells, watch this video next.